Hey there guys, this is Kage coming at you. Today we're going to be doing an extensive review for Octopath, COC. We are looking at some obvious spoilers here. I'm not going to go too much into the story, but I'm essentially going to be letting you guys know about some of the content for this game, because as you can see here, I'm at 106 hours for this game. We've put in a lot of time. We've put a lot into this game. Well, I've put a lot into it. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I will start off by saying that I don't know a lot about JP. I know a little bit here and there from what some of my friends in the Discord tell me, but I don't really know a lot about the game. I basically found this game a parallel to another Eden, another single player RPG I played a lot back in the day. That's still going strong to this day. So that's kind of where I based kind of like my experience and my enjoyment of this game. I will say this, you can definitely do the story as a free-to-play. I didn't spend any money in this game until I finished the prologues for the second half of the game. I threw like 50 bucks in because, I got 100 hours out of this. I'll probably put more in, to be honest, but I really enjoyed this. So with that being said, let's go over some of the main elements of this game. And the first being that the story itself is very, very extensive. It gives you several chapters to start. You've got your fame, power, wealth. Those start off. It branches off into another story entirely. And then from there, you get one final chapter, and that condenses part one essentially to the story itself. Very extensive. You're at least going to get, your mileage may vary, 50 to 60 hours out of that part, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But it's definitely, it gives you a lot to work on, a lot to do. There's gear along the way you get. There's, a couple of extra towns aside from the main ones here. The world is pretty expansive, and they're going to keep adding to it. As we see on the roadmap, they're going to be adding more areas into the game as we go, but there is a decent amount here. And realistically, on the top end for the story content, maybe like level 65 for all your units, maybe a little bit higher to clear some of the prologue stuff for part 2 that we get. But you don't really need to have things too high. It's all about kind of going in, learning the fights, learning, what the enemies are going to do towards the back end of the game, and then if you have to retry them, you can, because, at that point at least you'll know their weaknesses, and you can be able to build around that particular boss. So the game's very forgiving in that regard. It doesn't make you have to relearn all the weaknesses. Once you discover one, it's there for life. The story itself seems to have some payoff to it in the short term, and also, if you really paid attention, some of the stuff in part 2 comes back around. You'll see some characters that you met in part 1, they'll be back, some other things will be mentioned, and more will be elaborated on into some of the machinations of, of the original 3 to some extent. You'll find out a little bit of why maybe I won't go into detail, but why certain characters went the path they did, and what was really going on. There are going to be some things revealed there. You'll learn a bit more. So there's a bigger payoff overall for those who stick with the story, pay attention. There'll be more to it. Overall, mechanics-wise, you get a couple of new mechanics throughout the game. You get hunts, which I did a video on. Those are essentially, you go in, you do a mission, and you get some extra rewards for doing so. Nothing too crazy. I haven't seen anything major, but these also go to 65 as well. 65 is the highest. I've seen some 4-star awakening materials out of this one. I don't know if you can get any more, but that is with me doing the full 500 influence for that. So maybe there is some there to help you awaken the 5-star units in case you don't have the pulls and you want to unlock the boards. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I say like materials for for like the awakenings themselves. What I'm referring to is the boards themselves. So when we go to, let's say, Millard's board, if we want to unlock this board itself, we're missing that Seal of the Flamebringer. Maybe it can drop from there, maybe it's exchange only, I'm not too sure, but the other materials, as you can see, I've gotten them along the way from doing like path actions and doing the hunts themselves, so I'm getting kind of close to getting the other requirements done for that particular unit. Now, the other main thing that you don't really find out until, maybe 50, 60 hours in the game is that there is a different way of working on the weapons, and you're not going to find that out until you get to this town here, and that is what's called the Innocent set. Now, it doesn't work for the armor so far that I've seen, but it's purely for the weapons itself. And what it is there's time-gated materials. You get certain amounts of materials from the enemies outside of the field in this area, and they go towards enhancing the weapons you have. And what it does is it takes, let's say you have, Axe 2 or Axe, 1, you go to Axe 2 here. Here's the bow. I can make the bow if I wanted to right now, and it'll, boost up the stats a little bit more. It's nothing super crazy, but from what I'm told, these weapons are going to go beyond 3, but for right now, the farthest we can get them is to currently 3. And again, these are off time-gated materials, which those materials sell for a lot to the shop, so gold really doesn't become a problem later in game. I mean, I've got 2.7 mil right now. I've bought out every NPC I could of every item. I didn't even need to haggle with people, and I've made multiple innocent items. I've put a lot of gear into people's hands, spent a lot of money. Hasn't really, what's up per gear, I guess. Hasn't really, made much of a difference in terms of gold. You're going to get plenty of gold either through the Kates, through the advertisement rerolls, through getting those time-limited story materials. So this is something that, again, you're not going to see until after you're done with Part 1 and you get to this town here, Flames Grace. So this will be something that's going to be expanded upon. Again, it is time-gated because you only get a certain amount of materials per day because they only drop from the elites from, like the level 2, level 1, 2, and 3 innocent weapons. You can make the base innocent weapons without having to worry about any sort of time gating. Those you can make plenty of. That's not a problem. In fact, let's just make, just for the heck of it, there you go. Cool, you get an innocent weapon. Great. Anybody else need one? Because gold really isn't an issue. Oh, wait, let's give him one. Cool, he gets one too. Great. Anybody else? Okay, no. So, yeah, not really that big of a deal. So, that is something to look forward to here. We are going to be getting another part of the secondary part chapter sometime between now and the end of August. Maybe we'll get it next week, a week or two from now, who knows, but there'll be more coming, and they'll be bringing that to us piece by piece. But as you can see here, I'm currently completely tapped on everything. Speaking of other quests and other content we can work on, there is what's called the Nameless Town. This town is also time-gated, but what they don't really tell you here is there's ways to accelerate this. There is definitely ways to speed things up. Every day, you'll see here, like just for instance, you've got this NPC, 9 hours left until you can do another for sturdy lumber. And you can go in and you can get lumber from him. You can buy an extra material here. A sturdy stone here, and you could buy, or you can do one more inside here with her. Now, what I would recommend is if you don't have a high fame, and this is a low percentage chance, do the fight first and do the haggle or do the pure buy, because for this part, if your reputation goes to 0, you don't get that back to full until tomorrow in the Nameless Town, because there is no tavern here to recharge your reputation. So be careful on that. So make sure you leave this one for last. The highest you can get this is 90%. You can go in and buy that, and you want to make sure you also go outside the town to the right over here, and you take care of the 3 elites every day, because after you have the first couple of buildings made, from what I've been told, those materials aren't used anymore. And as you can see, these guys are up, so we'll go in and we'll just beat them out real quick, because I want to get those materials. And they'll drop another 3. Now the reason I do this is each of these materials gives back 5 memory shards. And you want to get these shards, because otherwise you only get 20 memory shards a day. So you basically go into the exchange here and you go over, and what you're going to do is you'll pop in here, you'll get shards, and you'll trade this in, and you'll get some more. And you're going to need these for later too. Even if you maxed out the garden, they are adding more into this Nameless Town later. We're going to be getting something else with sheep or alpacas or something, and I'm sure it's going to take quite a bit to get that part done. So you're definitely going to want to get that taken care of. So make sure you go in every day, you take out the NPCs, you do their path actions, you get the elites done, because that's 30 extra memory shards right there. And that's how I was able to get the garden done a lot quicker, by doing that. So getting those taken care of, you'll get the garden. I haven't noticed any variations to the garden upgrade, aside from you get 1 extra large nut for each patch. So instead of 150k experience off of those, I get 300k a day. Still a lot of experience. Still a lot of experience to be had. It's nothing to sleep on, and you can definitely use that for your units. You can definitely use that to either kind of inch along some of your higher level units, or what I had to do, because I wanted to look at some of the other hidden things in this game, I basically used it to grind out these 3 avenues: wealth, power, and fame. And as it stands, 26 fame, unless there's some other NPC I've missed, is the highest you're going to need to unlock everything. Power was like 22, and I think wealth was 24 to get the last shop. And they're not easy to do. They're a pain. They are a pain, but this is something extra the game gives you to work on, because the higher your fame, the easier it is for you to get items for free off NPCs. You'll see a lot of level 60 gear or a lot of good accessories and things off NPCs, and instead of having like a 25% chance, you can push it up to 90 if you level it enough in most cases. So don't sleep on those. Same with wealth, you'll be able to buy better items off of there. And power, you'll be able to fight stronger NPCs. There are super bosses in this game, level 85. I've found 3 of them. They're tough. I don't have a team right now ready to realistically take any of them down. I mean, I will show off one of them to you guys. I will totally get humiliated on air for it, just to show you that there is more to this game. There is endgame stuff to work on and do. There's a lot of substance here. Even though I put 100 hours into this, there are still a couple of roadblocks in place that even I have to deal with. So we'll go and let's do... I don't even remember her weaknesses, but... actually, let's do the one that I was able to keep afloat for the entire fight. Where was that one? This one was hidden behind an extra NPC action. Like, some of these things, they're hidden behind multiple NPC actions. Like, I had to inquire further on an NPC to open up an area, and that's where I encountered this one super boss I'm going to show you right now. And this guy is no joke. I'm going to see if I can tailor a team together to fight him and to put up a good show, but I expect to get my ass kicked handily. Because I don't even remember what this guy's weaknesses are. So here he is. And this one, you can see, the Inquire level is only 3. super deceptive. Super deceptive here. So let's see what I can do. What would be my best team here to get set up? I should bring in some dagger users because they can bypass defense pretty well. So let's do that. Okay, let's remove you. Who else? Don't think I need Lynette for this one, so let's see. So let's go back in, and let's get, I've got Viola. Wingate had, shoot, well, I think my Wingate's pretty low, so it's probably not a good idea. Yeah, Ashlight was good. And then who do I want to bring in for an extra? You know what, let's bring in Sophia for raw power. She's got some good power. I just kind of wished I had her at Awaken 1 already to get the extra stats. And the extra stats make a heck of a difference here with this system. And just to explain that too, you know, dupes in this game mean a lot. Some of these characters are going to have what's called an extra item here at the 5. You know, I think it's mostly the banner units, to be honest. But you want to get these guys to 1 Awaken. 30% stats is ridiculous. 2 is an extra battle stat. And, you know, 3, you can get an extra 1,000 HP. That makes a lot more difference later on in game. So let's see here. I may have to unlock her stats or her nodes, because I brought in that one character. So let's go over and just see here if I've unlocked their nodes and given them some stats yet, because I don't think I have. Oh, they got 26 points to play with. Okay, let's see. This only does 1. What's this passive? Grab that. Let's see. No. Gonna see if there's any specials. Okay, let's do that. We'll pair her with Sophia. Is there any other? Okay, let's just burn through these real quick. No, I'm not gonna need fire res for this. And as you can see, these notes really don't make too much difference. After you get to a certain point, they're not really as big of a deal. You could fill out as many of them as you want. There will be a couple of ones that are, you know, gated behind 65, like this node here. I've gotten a couple of 4 stars to 65 to get to 60, and I've gotten a bunch of 3 stars to 45 to get that same 60. And that takes 5 points. That's a good one to have. Okay, good. Now let's just see here if I have to give him any skills. Okay. I was hoping to have more than 1 hit for the shield break thing, but we'll just leave him as is and see what this fight looks like here, because again, I don't remember how this fight plays out. So we'll take a look. Oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. And you can see danger level 85. I'm going to get my ass kicked. Oh, it was Fan and Light. Great. Okay, Fan. Didn't bring Pia with me. Magical. Let's see if we can paralyze him. Killed Roy slow as ever. Okay, paralyze good. Let's throw another round of Chain Lightning. The round of that. We're barely putting a dent into this guy. Okay. Another round of chain lightning. Feels. Okay, good break. Okay, paralyzed, great. Let's see what this does. We did not do a lot of damage there. Not do a lot of damage at all. Need to get some damage on. There is something I failed to mention on this fight. Oh, we are so screwed now. There is some sort of timer before he berserks. I don't know what that timer is, but he took Lynette out in one go. We are so screwed. I do not see us winning this now at this point. That wasn't even going to get fixed by a heal. Man. Definitely need to get some better light users in here and more fan users to help break him down. Okay, that's Gilroy helped out on that one. Even with the speed down, I doubt it makes Gilroy fast enough to actually be useful. Which is kind of sad. We can't even take down a shield right now. Oof. I'm gonna save that. Do another round of that. Some burst. Man. Yeah, I think we'll get him down to half before he berserks. He's not moving at all still, so that's good, I guess. That's a plus. Taking out Lynette really screwed me. Okay, still numb, so Gilroy's giving me some hope here, but I think we are so screwed as soon as he comes out of this. Ah, there goes my paralyze. Oh, wait, it was at 50%? Or maybe it was too many turns, tough to say. And he removed his... shit. The paralyze got removed. This is game here. This is where we die, kids. This is where we die. Yep, doesn't matter. Yeah. This guy's no joke. The only one who could outspeed him right now is Theo. It's kind of funny. So yeah, I don't know if that was turns or HP. I'm not really sure on that one, but that just gives you an idea of an in-game fight right now. What's going on there? In-game fights are rough. So you've got those to look forward to. You've got the the gear to look forward to. There are a couple of things in the game that you can still do. You've of course got an extensive amount of achievements in this game to work on to get more gems. I mean, as of right now, I'm getting close to 550 feats. There's a lot of these you can do. I mean, another nice one that opens up later, you won't see it right now, is once you get done with enough of the story, you'll get Traveler Stories achievements here, where you'll get 30 rubies for every 5 you get done. So, every 5 you get to Chapter 3, that's 30 rubies and a bunch of influence. Don't sleep on that at all. So get those done early, and then once you get to that point, you'll get a nice little surprise, get a little extra gems. And there's other little ones I still need to go back and do, like, kill all these enemy types. But there's a lot here to work on in terms of the levels and other things. So you can get a lot of gems for free out of this game as well. I mean, you can get about 15 free pulls, give or take, somewhere around there, if you don't want to spend any money at all with the current content, which isn't bad. But as of right now, I mean, there's just tons here to do. There's tons to work on. There's lots of characters you can work on to get your influence up. You'll notice down here, I mean, I've got every character I have to at least 21 to unlock, all their basic influence nodes, and then I've got others up to 45 for 3 stars to get their next influence level up, and then I've got some 4 stars to 65 to get that same, to push those numbers up. Because again, you are going to need them to unlock some of the tougher fights, some of the other, NPCs, things to buy, and I'm sure as the game adds more content, there's going to be more things you could have. So if you're already beaten most of the content and you haven't worked up your influences enough, that's something to do. That's there. There's no waste of doing that, because later on you're guaranteed to get more out of it. And it's not like after a while those bonuses go away. You still keep getting new ones. It even shows you here right now. Like, it's showing me up to 29 for what I can get. So I'll get another Kate rate up level at 29 for fame. Now, moving on to some of the things, kind of like the cons of this game, if you will. Some of the things here that I wasn't a big fan of. I wasn't a big fan of the rubies going down from 30 to 10 after, level 10. I know here, obviously, you can get a lot of levels out of them, but it's just one of those things where you probably could have kept it alone, or maybe just gradually knocked it down to 10 after a while instead of just going from 30 to 10 on it to mitigate some of the free gems. That I wasn't a big fan of. The current debacle with the miscommunication on that one step up and people unsure if they should spend on that step up to 5 to get, the free reward coming with the next maintenance. I know they fixed that too, but just not a good look for early game. I mean, not a good look at all. Probably should just, given anybody who actually spent into that banner, should have given them some compensation, or given them the actual compensation, because I mean, this is like a first impression and you technically dropped the ball in some ways, and instead of just making it right for everybody, you kind of mitigated what you gave back to them, and that's a little fucked. Let's be honest, that's a little fucked. A couple other things, a little nitpicks here and there. I mean, in terms of the characters, some characters definitely don't have much weight to them than others. Some of these characters I will never use outside of just getting them up for influence, or just leveling them up and using them as is. There's a lot of characters here. Maybe they add something in later. I think there's like a tower or something where you can use all your characters, but as of right now, realistically, you're gonna build and maybe you'll use 10% of your roster, maybe 15%. Once everything's said and done for some of these fights. But I mean, 3 stars are pretty much they're only there for influence. There's no, if you have them and you have to use them for a while, they'll carry you around. But you want to get as many 4 stars or 5 stars in your group as possible, because the required level for this content does jump up to 60, 65 towards the later half of part 1, and it floats around that 60-ish number. I think 62 for the prologues for part 2 for a while. So yeah, that kind of sucks in a way. I mean, maybe I'll have to use some of these lower characters. The other thing, and this is more of a mistake on my part that I'm going to impart onto you some wisdom. I personally would not try and awaken as many of these units as possible. I did it for the achievements, but what I would do if I was you, instead of awakening them, I would limit break as many of these like little guys to 45 and 65 to get the influence nodes. Because as you can see right here, I used up most of their shards on getting them an awakening, and now I need, another 60 to get them to 45 and get that influence node. So you don't need to awaken any of these guys for the most part. I mean, yeah, early game it might help you, but you're better off just getting the limit break and getting the extra points for them to unlock, the fame, power, wealth nodes, as opposed to getting the awakening levels on the 3 stars. 4, I would probably do the awakening levels on them. I mean, you're going to use them for some content. They're going to, carry you around, because I don't know many people who are free to play who are going to have a perfect set of 5-star units. I mean, I've pulled maybe 15, 16 times, and as you can see here, realistically, I'm only using 4 or 5 stars because those are the ones I have awakened, and then the other 5 stars I have, they're pretty much, almost all done right now. I mean, they're almost maxed out at 60 something. I don't really have too much use for them, and you guys just watched a 73 Lynette get smacked very hard by that super boss, so I'm gonna have to make her more tanky and level her up more to be able to handle some of that content. Couple other things, just make sure you check your town's weapon shop every day. The NPCs there always refresh their goods. try and get as many of those done as you can. Another thing you could do is if you really want to be cheesy with doing, like, let's say some of the achievements for the recruitment, you could literally go to the Nameless Town and just go between the nut NPC and one of the other NPCs and just kind of buy and swap them until you get the achievement level maxed out. It is super tedious. I don't recommend doing it, but you can literally get about 150 points in each of your influences doing it. And if you have a high enough wealth, it costs only 800 gold a pop. And gold doesn't mean jack, so you can literally just go back and forth, recruit them over and over again, and max out that achievement. I did it to help get the Fame 26, but yeah, it was tedious. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not worth it, but you can grind out just about anything in this game and it will have some sort of payoff for you. So, don't neglect your NPCs. Buy as much as you can. Challenge as many as you can. Even recruit some of them as you can. Because as you can see here, I've already hired that one, so I just go over to the other one. And what I would have done is, I'll just do it for example here. We'll hire, 100%. Oh, you also need to fill out your allies list when you do this. I didn't have mine filled out right now, but you would fill out your allies list and you would swap them back and forth. And that's how I did that little trick there. But ultimately, I would say that this game has the most content I've seen out of a phone game in a while. For what you get, for what you can put into this game, which is very little. I mean, you just want to kind of be cognizant of what 5-star you start out with. I would say Lynette is probably one of the better ones, and the main reason I would give Lynette high marks is because of this, basically. So we'll take her. We'll go over to the end fields in the game currently, which is once you get to the prologue, this area out here, these wilderness areas where you can encounter the 300k Kates, by the way, in these two fields. But she is highly useful here. Like, it is ridiculous, especially in this first one field. I could literally do this with her. I can just do Waltz of the Lotus. She just insta wipes them. 4k XP, everybody gets it. You can throw some guys in the back who need experience. And she can just carry. No other NPC can really do that right now. So, I mean, she can one-shot field monsters like it's nobody's business, or come very close and then your team just picks them off. So it is just, she is a really good character to have. I mean, if you want to level up some of your guys, get them up to, like, 15 or 21 for the influence nodes, she could easily do that. There's no problem there at all. And then, of course, you'll notice that the elites came out. These guys are used to get the time-gated materials for the innocence weapons. But other than that, I think we've gone over mostly everything here for right now. I mean, there's a lot to get done. There's a lot to work on. I can still probably weasel out a couple more influence levels. I could definitely get another power level. That wouldn't be a problem. Maybe even a wealth. So I can definitely stretch those out. And as it stands right now, I've got some things to work through, because you just watched me get devastated by a super boss. I put 100 hours into this game, and I got my ass kicked by a guy who looks like Santa Claus. So there's a lot to be done here. You can play the game at your own pace too. There's no rush. There's no competitiveness. Play the game at your own leisure. And it's great. I'd say this is a really good clone to another Eden. It's Octopath does its own thing. I would say this game definitely is up there. It's still a gacha. I know people are going to try and say, well, it's not really it's a gacha. It's a gacha game at heart. It's a gacha game with a really good story, whereas every other gacha game is a gacha game with a really shit story. Yeah, so there's a really good story here. There's a lot of content to start. I don't know if the pacing for the content's going to be like some of these other games where they try and kind of accelerate it along and give you a lot to do. We'll see what happens there. But the very least, aside from logging into this game and getting some of your stuff done, like your dailies, getting your daily quest done, getting some extra rubies, and getting your town materials done, there's not a whole lot of commitment you need to put into this game until later on when you want to do your like elites in the field, get some innocent weapon material stuff, get some extra gold that way. But other than that, I'd say, if you haven't tried this game, give it a try. You don't have to spend any money on this. Just if you're not sure about what units you want to go with or what's good, you can always look online, look for tier list, things of that nature, and you can re-roll until you get a 5-star you want. I'd say Lynette's one of the better ones. Viola's really good too because of her shield breaking abilities. So there's some good units out there, and we're going to be getting constantly new units. People say there's some of the newer ones are really good. You may want to hold out for that if you're not a big spender. I can't say one way or another because I like Nier personally, but that's neither here nor there. And other than that, everything else is pretty cut and dry. I mean, the only other thing I really didn't touch on too much is the accessories. And for right now, there are plenty of accessories to be had in the game. I mean, there's the Sage's brooch you can get for spending, and there's a free one in the game. There's even one for getting extra leaves, and there's one to increase and decrease the encounter rate for monsters. So in case you want to get monsters quicker. And there's all sorts of other ones too, like the Dragon Scar for SP. There's a bunch of different ones here. I've tried to collect as many of them as I could. I was hoping to find a fire one for Lynette. Haven't seen that yet, but I've definitely found the Wind in the Dark Rune one. And if any of you guys notice any of the ones I'm missing, or let me know, because I'm sure there's still some things I'm missing in this game. And the only reason I say that is because the game clearly maps out some stuff for you. The game clearly tells you, like, let's look at Valor for instance. I have not found one NPC for contending, which that could be a super boss that I just haven't been able to find somewhere in town. That could be something else to battle, but it definitely tells me that I've missed that. And then it also, here it's telling me I've got all those done. The game's very, very upfront with you. The only other thing I would say, if I had to make a small complaint about, is there's some story areas that you can't get back into that have chests, and you're locked out of them. Maybe you'll be able to get back to them later, but you can't get those treasure chests, and those are tied to achievements as well. So other than that, I don't really have too many complaints about this game. I mean, everything's pretty cut and dry. That's essentially about it for kind of like negatives for the game, being locked out of a couple of story areas. They don't really make a note that you won't be able to go back to this place. Maybe you will later. Who knows? When we get more chapters, maybe they'll reopen up. But that's about it for kind of like nitpicking on things for this game. There's not really a whole lot of negatives that I could think of off the top of my head. I mean, the game lets you inadvertently re-roll the advertisements for the Kates you want, so you can literally just go in and get the best Kates. But otherwise, I think that's about it. I mean, there's, give this game a try. I mean, I got to give them props for doing things like the step up, even though they botched up the description. Because the game I played before this, they don't really do half off on scouts, or because essentially the first one is a half off on scout. It's it's half off, and then it's 33% off on the other one, and as it goes, they give you a lot of rewards. They help you out there. So they do cut some breaks for you. But other than that, I think I've covered. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed here. Kind of trying to be broad because I don't want to go over like story details and things, which I still don't know who the big bad in the story is. I do not know. I have no idea. I just know that there is somebody who was pulling the strings of everything that's happened, and that whoever they were, we don't know, because the only person who alluded to them is out of the picture. They can't tell us. So we're going to probably run across this person or persons or whatever at some point in time in the second part, hopefully, unless there's more. Again, I didn't play JP, so I don't know if there's more than just two parts to this story, if there's more after the Bestowment series, because the game has been out for, I think, like a year in JP, somewhere around there, so it's gotten some time to it, maybe even 2 years. But other than that, if you guys have any other questions for me, if you want to ask me any things about, kind of how I got through the story, or, what some of my tactics were, how I handled things, go ahead, feel free to ask, or even for, like, tactics for leveling, because one of the things I would say to you guys, another thing that is important is if you can get one character to 71, you can unlock the 300k Kates in the advertisements, and you unlock the 100k as, like, the 45% drop. That's huge. So, if you have some of those level up berries, or you buy a pack and you want to power somebody up, just get them to 71 and you could help push your other guys up every day. 5% chance to get a 300k Kate sucks. It could take you a while, but that's almost 1 million experience a day. So if you're looking to kind of fast track your teams, that's one way to do it. But again, you can play this at your leisure. There's a lot to be done here. Take your time. Don't take your time. Rush. Play through whatever. Just have fun with it, because at the end of the day, this is a really good story. I mean, this is a $60 game, essentially, as a free-to-play that's going to milk way more than $60 out of all of us who put money into it. But it's a good story. Keep you engaged. And, just like anything else, you may have to take a couple of tries with some of these bosses later on. Don't be discouraged by taking a loss as you get into the game, because the game does shift gears at a certain point in the story. I'd say around halfway through Chapter 4, you'll start to see things kind of slope in an upward direction, and that's normal. So you may have to, look at your team, see what you can do, and plan accordingly. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, guys. I strongly recommend this game to everybody. It's not bad. If you put money into it, great. If you don't, no big deal. You may just want to reroll once or twice, but otherwise, a lot of fun to be had here. And Octopath Day, Octa sucked. Just good through 88 gems. I know we'll get another 88 part later and another 88 after, but I don't know. I was thinking this was going to be some big day with like a special boss fight or some sort of event or something, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me playing other games and being, expecting of what's it called, of events and things. But thank you. Next time maybe we'll go into review for super bosses. Maybe I'll come up with a strategy to beat some of them, or if you guys have any ideas how to beat them, that'd be really great, because I don't like getting my ass kicked if I can help it. I'm gonna just try and keep leveling up my characters and then come back and Kage smash them. But anyway, take care, guys. Thanks so much for watching.